All right, Giants Nation. So usually I release my videos for the Hard Knock episodes the day after, and I'll probably be back to the normal routine next week after episode 4. But I just want to talk about episode 3. I'm not going to make the video too long, but main thing I want to talk about is Saquon Barkley and Joe and John Mara's interaction. I feel like John Mara, I'm not going to say he doesn't care about Saquon Barkley as a person. I think he definitely is thinking about the money that he's going to lose because Saquon Barkley is now an Eagle, and the fact that he has to see him twice a year. If he left and went to another team, I don't think he's saying stuff like he's going to lose sleep. I think ultimately Saquon Barkley was probably offended when Joe told him and his agent for him to go test the market. Best way to stick it to us is to go to the Eagles. I'm not going to wish anything bad on Saquon Barkley. He's already an injury concern every year, so I'm not going to say, hey, hopefully this happens to him. But at the end of the day, he went to the best situation for him. It just so happens that it was the Eagles. But I think Joe also made the right decision. I saw some idiots saying something like, oh, are Giants fans still saying that Joe offered him a contract? He offered him a contract prior to this offseason. They were trying to sign Saquon Barkley before they signed Daniel Jones, and the money just wasn't what Saquon Barkley wanted, obviously. And so he got what he wanted from a team that is supposed to be contending. And I feel like a lot of the running backs that are good that were signed are usually signed to teams that were considered contenders prior to them signing, or at least expected to make the playoffs, like the Packers situation and Josh Jacobs. So a lot of teams allowed their star running backs to leave. So why are we being demonized for not giving Saquon Barkley a contract? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think Joe did the right thing. A lot of people are saying Joe is clearly running the show. A lot of people are probably expecting shit to blow up in Joe's face if Daniel Jones doesn't perform well. That's who people are looking to blame, but we just got to wait and see how it ends up going. Now, we did want to sign Swift, which I think Swift is a good running back, but in episode 2, they mentioned that he was from Philly, and so maybe they thought at certain points that he wasn't going to leave Philly, and so they decided to go with Motor. I'm fine with Devin Singletary. I've been watching him from his Buffalo days. He had a respectable season last year, and I think if the line can run block, he's going to have a pretty solid year. But I also like the guys that are sitting behind him this season, so Tracy being one of them. I think I need to make a Tracy highlight. That highlight's coming up soon. I got a bunch of highlights that I need to make for you guys, and the highlights are all going to be shorts. So Devin Singletary was a great signing. Now, I saw that we wanted to re-sign Tyrod Taylor, and thank God we did not. And he also said some slick shit towards us. I guess he threw some shade. I think he was celebrating going to the better team in New Jersey / New York area, and I think he is crazy because we're a much better franchise than the Jets. And I posted a video on Tyrod Taylor and how I know you guys were worshiping Tyrod Taylor because he did win some hard games, but ultimately the numbers are saying that he's pretty inaccurate, and you could blame it on the offensive line since they were the second worst. But if you're going to do that, then you need to do the same for Daniel Jones. You can't just pick and choose who you're going to make excuses for, because that offensive line was the second worst offensive line in the history of the NFL. So if Tyrod gets the excuse for being the second most inaccurate quarterback in front of, or should I say behind, Deshaun Watson, because he sucks. He's worse than Daniel Jones. I don't care what you guys say. Deshaun Watson is not the same guy from Houston. He's worse than Daniel Jones. They're in a worse contract situation, and he was the most inaccurate quarterback. And I'll link the video so you guys can watch and look at the stats. But yeah, screw Tyrod Taylor. And I know some of you guys are expecting Locke to be QB1 for some strange reason. I looked at Drew Locke's lowlights, and I think his lowlights are really who he is. You can say, well, he has some good games on the Seahawks, but he was throwing to two really good wide receivers. That does help, and the offensive line was actually performing unlike the Giants' offensive line. So I'm not really expecting much from Drew Lock. I need Daniel Jones to stay healthy, and if he sucks, he sucks, but stay healthy, dude, and play well. I want you to play well because I want the Giants to do well. I don't know what's up with everybody. and rooting against Daniel Jones and saying, oh, well, he hasn't been good the previous seasons. Why should I? Blah, blah, blah. Stop being a fake New York Giants fan and root for your guys to do well. I don't like Evan Neal because he's talented and it's just not working out. At least he's talented. You can't say that, Daniel Jones came into the league and you were expecting him to be like a top quarterback, but I was expecting Evan Neal to be really good. And I'm going to root for you this year, Evan Neal. I need you to do well too. Go Evan Neal and go Daniel Jones. And I want to talk about Brian Burns. Brian Burns is actually from my area, so he's from Broward. I live in Florida. I don't live in New York City anymore. I obviously lived there at some point in my life, but I'm from where Brian Burns is from, so I got to get me a Brian Burns jersey because he also likes Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man too, and that's his nickname. If you haven't seen my short on Brian Burns, I did make a short recently. I'll link that one too. Click it and watch, Brian Burns get to the quarterback. I think for me, the most exciting thing for me personally, I know for you guys or some of you guys, it's going to be Malik Neighbors, but for me, it's the defense. This is one of those years where I'm very excited to see the defense. Sometimes when you're watching just NFL games in general, you just want to see the quarterback or the wide receiver. Hey, I've watched some games from other teams where the quarterback was worse than Daniel Jones, but they had really good wide receivers. And that's who I tuned in for. And then when the defense came on, I wasn't interested. But this year, I want to see the defense. I want to see how Shane's defense is going to do. The Titans fans are saying that he's a pretty good DC and was one of the best things for the Titans. So I want to see what happens if we get to the quarterback this year. Let's go, Brian Burns. I got to get that jersey ASAP. But what did you guys think about this episode? Give me your opinions. Comment down below. Tell me if you agree with some of my points or reviews of this episode. What do you think about the Saquon Barkley thing? Do you think John Mara actually likes Saquon Barkley, or was he thinking about the money that's going to be lost from not having Saquon Barkley? Because personally, that's what I think. I think he was more worried about the money and then having to see him twice a year. But comment down below.